Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. There are a lot of spaceships and vehicles in development for Star Citizen at the moment. As part of Star Citizen's content over features policy as well, they're focusing much more in the way of ships and vehicles that they don't require extra features for, ones that they already have features for in-game or can expand out those features for those ships. I want to dig into what we know CIG are working on at the moment, or what we expect them to be working on. I also have some rumors and leaks and teasers and sneak peeks and stuff that I want to discuss to a degree. We've had these over the last few months, I suppose since October, since CitizenCon, and then again at the IAE show. This video is going to have some potential spoilers in, but also talk a bit about stuff that I reckon and leaks and rumors. As such, take it with a little bit of salt, because there are rumours that things like the Drake Ironclad might be further along than we expected. We've got things like the Grey Cat CAV, a CAV. We don't 100% know what that is, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Also, we do have a Star Citizen roadmap update that should be coming next week, but in regards to ships, CIG often obscure what ships they're working on or how far they are along through the pipeline with them. This might get even more confusing, or at least vague, with monthly patches as well, because CIG are likely going to put a ship in only when it's ready, but not tell us if they think it's going to be ready for this month or next month. They sort of might put it in last minute. With less features, less can go wrong, so they can probably get away with putting it in last minute. Some ships are almost certainly going to be locked behind marketing for like Fleet Week or the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, major releases, things like that. Yeah, we have some teasers, sneak peeks and rumors, and a little bit of I reckon in this video. We also have CIG sharing updates from both CitizenCon and the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. Star Citizen ships from CitizenCon that were teased. They teased a load of ships and vehicles, 15 of them I believe, and several of them have already been shown off. So we've had the Anvil Hornet Mark II, Tracker and Ghost. That is two separate entries. We've also had the Anvil Terrapin Medivac, the Murai Guardian, the Misk Fortune, the Crusader Intrepid, and the RSI Polaris, all turning up. And most of the other ships and vehicles they showed are in development at some stage beyond concept. So we got things like the Argo CSV FM, the fabrication model, the SM, the sort of flatbed truck version has already been released, but the FM model has a building drone for base building is the idea there. We also have the RSI Apollo, that very much anticipated modular medical ship. We technically have all the features that we need for it, other than its drones. We do not know how far drones are along. We know multiple times CIG have talked about them. We know they need them for Squadron 42. The RSI Apollo could turn up even without its drone gameplay potentially, or maybe drones are further along than I think and it will turn up later this year in our hands, but they were working on it and I believe they are still working on the RSI Apollo currently. We've got things like the Misk Starlancer TAC and BLD. The TAC, the TAC, is the Super Combat variant. That should actually be in our hands pretty soon. The build version, the drone version for base building, a little bit later, once we have base building in-game. Probably something they might add in maybe next year. The RSI Perseus. This was teased recently in an Inside Star Citizen, fighting in the background. I'm actually expecting this to turn up for Fleet Week in May. Don't take that as gospel. We do know that the Banu Merchantman was effectively paused so that a chain of RSI ships could be worked on, one of those being the Perseus, one of those being the Polaris, which is already completed. Perseus, lots of shared resources between those ships. I also expect them to continue the cadence of building out chains of ships one after another that share resources between each other. You may very likely see the Galaxy worked on after that, if it's not already being worked on. The Perseus is actually one of my favourite ships. It's like this brawler, Corvette-sized ship, everything that I want in a large combat ship. Two massive turrets, one on the top, one on the bottom, and it sort of is built to fight in the front line for long periods of time. I think it was technically concepted as a heavy patrol gunship, It makes use of the massive weaponry on its turrets and the conventional firepower rather than like relying on missiles or anything like that. And although quite a large combat ship, I'm actually expecting it to be run by relatively small crews. Another ship that we saw, that we know that was on that teased list, is the Consolidated Outland Pioneer. This is the evolved base building ship. It enables you to build the largest buildings for a base, but also space stations, at least start building space stations with it. The ship has tons going on with it, with crafting and base building. It's kind of like a self-sufficient base for a huge amount of your industry needs. I wouldn't expect to see it until after base building is added to the game though, and that might be a little while now, especially with CIG's focus on content over features. The Ironclad and Ironclad Assault from Drake. I teased this a little, kind of by accident in my last video. I actually cut something from that video because I wanted to talk about the Ironclad here. So sorry about that, because that was a little bit lost in translation and I used a thumbnail that had the Ironclad Assault in it. And although I do think it's possible that we'll get an update in the roadmap for the Drake Ironclad, maybe, I think it's more likely that they'll obscure that and just release it when it's ready. That said, there have been some leaks and rumours about the Ironclad. These rumours being that it's reasonably far along, further along than some people expect. So some players are suggesting that it might even turn up at Fleet Week in May as part of Drake Defense Con. I'd expect to see the Ironclad first rather than the Ironclad Assault, admittedly, because there's a lot going on with the Ironclad Assault and being able to repair and do stuff with vehicles on board. And I think that the standard Ironclad much more simple because it's effectively a glorified armoured cargo and freight ship. I know CIG are working on it, but we do not know what their priorities are ship-wise. So you may hear some rumours and that sort of stuff, but even if it is very far along, even if it's going to be in our hands soon, that could still mean months and months. I'm expecting to see the Ironclad in-game later this year personally. I also think it's possible that it could be at Fleet Week. I just think it's very unlikely. Wait, there's more though. It's worth mentioning that CIG are working on a variety of other ships and vehicles beyond what was teased at CitizenCon 2024. We have already had the Super Hornet Mark II and Heartseeker kit, for example, but CIG have also said that as part of their monthly content-driven patches, they will be releasing more ships that don't require any new added features. So you can expect a good amount of combat ships, cargo, salvage, mining ships of all sizes, but we may also see some new features turn up this year and then ships to match that, because it's not like no new features, it's just less. There are some ships as well that were teased at CitizenCon that are yet to be fully revealed, so they haven't gone on concept sale. We're not 100% sure what they are. One of them is probably the Greycat CAV. So this has been rumoured a few times and been data mined and leaked. People seem to think that this might be a missile combat assault vehicle, CAV, but other people suggested this might just be a different version of an Ursa or a APC or a more modular vehicle or a builder. It does look like it's going to be coming to the game really soon. Like very soon if rumours are to be believed. I also heard from a relatively reliable source that I know that CIG are trying to get as many variants and some of the easier to get into game ships and vehicles in as soon as possible with monthly patches and the mini events that are going to be turning up every so often, like Stellar Fortuna, but larger bundles of them at things like Fleet Week and Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. Another vehicle we have that we're not 100% sure on is the Atlas variant, so some form of Atlas chassis variant from Anvil. I'm not talking about the ATLS Titan suits or anything that we have in game for the tractor beams. I'm talking about variants of the Ballista. They all share the Atlas hull, which is also used on things like the Centurion. This variant of the Anvil Ballista could be a load of different things. It could be a medical version or a building version, something like that. Don't actually know. We do know that they teased a building version in 2023. There's also a ship which appears to be Drake Corsair-like. Now, a lot of people said this is a mini Corsair, and obviously it will have a different name or whatever, but it could just be a variant of the Corsair at a weird angle. It could even be like a Drake Corsair Scout, a streamlined version. You've had it with the Sabre and the Sabre Raven, right? That is just a stripped down version of the hull, really. I am really interested to know your thoughts, especially on those 3 ships, or ships and vehicles, the Grey Cat CAV, the Anvil Ballista variants, or that potential mini Corsair. These sort of ships and vehicles may very well turn up by Fleet Week, at least some of them. In fact, I'd say that that's potentially expected. I want to know what that mini Corsair thing is. I really do. Lots and lots of questions I hear about ships and vehicles. Where is this ship? Are CIG working on it? If a ship at the moment needs a new feature before it can come into the game, then it's unlikely to turn up this year. We do know that like CIG were working on the 600i rework. I do believe there are some of the team working on Origin ships, and I believe that 600i rework, although I don't have any solid sources on that. I do think it was quite far along, and we're expecting an update on that in the not too distant future. The Bounty Merchantman, that is currently paused. Do not know when CIG are going back to that. The Legionnaire, I'd expect to see more about when CIG are happier to talk about hacking. It's supposed to hack the docking ports of a ship and then forcefully dock with them. Interestingly, it was a ship that CIG were working on in 2023 into 2024, and it was getting ready for release, but wasn't ready yet. That's what I heard anyway. Things like the Idris and Javelin, when they're actually going to be in player hands. Well, with or around Squadron 42 with the Idris, and CIG had previously said after Squadron 42 for the Javelin. I believe they could potentially come around the same time though. We'll have to wait and see. That's the same story with the Vandal ship updates, I believe. Although with the Vandal ship updates, I believe that they could probably put them in Arena Commander relatively soon. But well, again, have to wait and see. 2026 is when they plan to release Squadron, so it's not too far away. The Vulcan, so this is the drone repair, rearmor, refuel ship. That, it depends how far drones are along, really, in my opinion. The Kraken, this is the light carrier / mobile space station. Lots of people want this in the game. I would expect to see it in game next year. That is more of a wish than anything else. We know that there are resources dedicated to making Drake ships currently. I think this is going to be absolutely great for content for Star Citizen as well, having things like the Kraken in, because they can use it as mobile stations for pirates, so they can spawn missions to take these out. They can have pirates operating from them. They're a mighty FPS level unto themselves. I mentioned the Galaxy earlier as well. I'm expecting that to be worked on more of a focus after the Perseus, and actually probably come into the game later this year again. At least that's what my hope would be. We've got the Zeus Mark II MR, probably later this year. It's just a variant. Lots of ships that are just variants of ships that we've already got. They could potentially come into the game later this year again if they don't require any extra features. I don't have any updates on the Paladin, which was that latest concept sale they did. The Ranger bikes, the Arastra, the G12 little buggies, the cargo ship that is the Raylin, the Liberator, which is very exciting for me. I want to see that giant platform for ships and vehicles and potentially marines and stuff. The Odyssey, which is the very, very big exploration ship that can get its own quantum fuel. I got the Expanse, which is that refinery. Got the E1 Spirit. Again, I believe they need the taxi or VIP transport mechanics before they release that one. And other ships that you're going to be waiting on a while for are things like the Bounty Merchantman, the Orion, the Endeavour. So like the Orion, it's just strip mining at this huge scale of mining. They don't need it in game soon. The Endeavour, that's science gameplay, which is it touches on lots of other stuff, but it's a very complex ship. You've got the Genesis Starliner. I hope that they'd get this in the game when they have that taxi and VIP transport stuff. They can sort of build onto that, but I do think it's going to be a while. And you've got things like the Crucible, although that would be great to have in game. It is that sort of repair mechanic at a different scale. It's a sort of new feature more than anything else. And you've got things like the Nautilus, which requires drones, and it's a turret / mine deployer. Yeah, you're going to be waiting on a while for a load of those. We will give you more updates to ships when we know more. Next week, we are going to get a roadmap update, but as I said, I suspect it will be pretty clear of ship updates for the most part, and it may well just go, oh, we've got an unannounced ship in progress. on the progress tracker, stuff like that. So bear that in mind. I hope you found this informative to some degree. As I said, there was a reasonable amount of I reckon mixed in with what had been teased and what the rumors are. I'd really like to know what you think. What ships are going to be coming out this year? What do you hope to see? There's not actually that many more ships that CIG had like in the old back catalogue to get completed. I mean, there's still some, but they are ploughing through them. And are you one of those people that thinks the Drake Ironclad is going to be turning up at Fleet Week or later this year? Or do you think, no, it's going to be much longer than that? Yeah, I'd really like to hear from you. And something to encourage you to comment, we're giving away a Misc Fortune, which will help you make a fortune from salvage in the verse. Also comes with a couple of Red Festival skins and a game package and lifetime insurance, kindly given to us by CIG. Just comment on any of my videos made during February to be in for a chance of winning that. Something else that will make you feel like a winner, you can get yourself some NordVPN, giving you better accessibility, privacy, and security on the interwebs. Go to nordvpn.com/BoredGamer or just use the links below. Links below to loads of stuff. You can click the join button. That helps support the channel, become a channel member, or become a Patreon, or just share, like, and subscribe on these videos. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, and I will see you in the verse.